Hello and welcome to another episode of The Living Philosophy. Today we're going to talk about a difference that I found between Taoism and Zen and why I personally have a preference towards Taoism and Zen. This ties in with some other things that I've said around the chakra system, and it's about the grounding versus ungrounding and bringing that energy of wisdom back down into the world and to kind of live it in a proper space. So it's this idea that I came across before of the Taoist masters not being in monasteries. I don't know if this was back in the older days, because I know there's Taoist monks now, but it's that they were in the village. So your master butcher, your master baker, your master candlestick maker is like a Taoist master, or they're just within the village, and they're esteemed figures within the village, and they're not preaching Tao, because that's something that I love about Taoism, is its lack of preachiness. It's kind of it's almost resigned in the face of how difficult these things are to communicate. So the masters would go off and they would, under a moonlit night, they would go off and they would commune together and they would talk about matters of Tao. But every day you would meet them. And I think that there's something just really important and beautiful about that, because it just means that the presence emanates into the culture from which it is a part of. And it's that I'm thinking of that psychological thing where the 5 people who are closest to you in your life influence your personality the most. And so we want our paragons of wisdom to be close to us, to be within our community, because then we can actually model them. Our mirror neurons can pick up on their mirror neurons, and we can actually live lives that are more like them. We can live lives that are more wise, because the reminders of what wisdom is are all around us. And I think that that's a beautiful message. Of course, it makes the master's job more difficult in terms of how did they get to that point while being surrounded by, us regular folk. And the comparison there for me with Zen is the image I have of a Zen monastery is always up on a mountain, up in a beautiful scenic mountain with a waterfall running beside it. And it's in this rarefied place of lofty desolation, very far away from the people. And the people can come there on retreat, and the people can come there when they need a break or sanctuary. But it's separate. It's somewhere other. It's closer to the ruggedness of nature and away from the mire and sty of everyday human interaction. But I think while that probably makes it easier to become enlightened, and it probably makes that a more peaceful place to go to, it's a shame in many ways, because if you think of these as psychological symbols, then you've got the wise part of humanity. The wise chakra, we'll say, is up on a mountain, and the people, the less wise aspects of humanity, the everyday quotidian aspects of like Muladhara and Svadhisthana, these lower elements of humanity are that symbol is represented by the village, and the people living like, kind of the peasantly lives that we live, where we're concerned more with day-to-day occurrences than eternity itself. And so you've got the head is disconnected from the body. And I think that's kind of the whole problem that we've got, right? Is that the wise are nowhere to be seen, because it's like the nature of the world is so confused and so corrupt in some ways. And so I love that Taoist idea of, rather than the head being cut off from the body, it's the wisdom is in the midst, and it's all swirled up. And I feel like that's the whole cultures rising together there, rather than being separated out, and the dark becoming darker and the light becoming lighter. And it's just more troublesome, because what's the point in having these things separate, in having the light so light and the dark so dark, when we need to raise the vibration, the frequency. We need to raise the consciousness of everyone, and to build a better culture. And so it seems like a shame. And that's just something I love, because that mixing of wisdom and everyday, that's exactly what we're looking for. And I think that's one reason why the internet is such a fantastic resource, because you can tap into these wiser minds. You know, you can listen to your 3 hours of Alan Watts and kind of feel uplifted by that, or the greatest coaches, the greatest performers in any field of endeavor. You can now breathe in their way of being by watching videos of them or by listening to them. And so that's inspiring. But I think there's no match, there's no substitute for having someone great in your presence, and being able to model that, being able to see your own image in their greatness. And I think that's such an important thing, and it's something just I love about that Taoist idea. I'm not even sure how realistic that was historically, or but I remember reading it somewhere and it just captivated my mind. And I know with the Zen thing, it's beautiful, the monasteries, but just that thing of being cut off. So that's everything that I wanted to share today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe if you haven't already, and give us a thumbs up. And I'd love to hear from you down in the comments if you have any insights, reflections, feedback, or anything like that. And I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching.